The message was transmitted across every known frequency, carried by light, subspace, and quantum pulse. It reached every corner of the galaxy within minutes. The translation was simple, blunt, and terrifyingly human. Stop attacking or we stop pretending to be courteous. No one in the Galactic Assembly had ever seen words like these before. Threats were common in interstellar politics, but this was different. There was no bluff in it, no pretense of negotiation, only a promise disguised as restraint. It came from the species that the galaxy had spent a century trying to control, manipulate, or erase. It came from Earth. The Galactic Assembly Chamber was in chaos. Representatives from 100 species shouted over one another, demanding clarification, explanations, or vengeance. The presiding High Speaker, a thin creature whose race thrived on diplomacy, slammed the gavel repeatedly against the crystalline stand. The sound barely pierced the uproar. For decades, humanity had been viewed as a stubborn newcomer to the interstellar community. When first contact was made, humans were dismissed as yet another aggressive primate species with limited resources and excessive pride. Their homeworld was labeled a developing planet with unstable leadership and dangerous tendencies toward violence. The Council believed they could be managed with treaties and oversight. They were wrong. It started with the colonization bans. The Council forbade humans from expanding beyond their solar system, citing environmental risk. Humanity protested. The Council ignored them. Then came the trade restrictions, the tariffs, and the forced dismantling of Earth's military satellites under the guise of galactic peace. Humanity complied for a while, but compliance was not in their nature. When the Council authorized the seizure of Earth's colony on Proxima b, calling it a stabilization effort, that was when the first retaliation came. A single human corvette destroyed an entire blockade fleet. The recordings shocked the galaxy. The corvette had been outnumbered 50-1. It should have been annihilated. Instead, it disabled every hostile ship in minutes and transmitted a single message before vanishing into faster-than-light transit. Please stop testing our patience. The message was dismissed as human arrogance, a bluff meant to hide their limitations. The Council doubled its efforts. More fleets were sent, more sanctions imposed. Yet each time something inexplicable happened. Supply convoys vanished without trace. Patrol fleets reported phantom signals. Colonies loyal to the Council began to fall silent one after another. No one could confirm what was happening, only that wherever humans were involved, communication ceased. In the assembly chamber, a hollow display flickered to life. The face of a human appeared, expression calm, eyes unyielding. His name was Ambassador Hale, the last representative of Earth to attend the Council before withdrawing entirely. He had once stood in that very chamber, advocating for peace. Now his image returned as a transmission from an unknown location. Members of the Galactic Assembly, his voice began, steady and measured. We have tolerated your hostilities for far too long. We extended our hand in cooperation and you struck it. We sought peace and you responded with occupation. You see restraint as weakness, courtesy as submission. You have mistaken humanity's patience for permission. Consider this your final warning. The chamber fell silent. Even the translation unit seemed hesitant to interpret the tone. Hale continued. Cease all military actions against human colonies, vessels, and allies. Withdraw your forces from Sol territory. Release our captured citizens. You have 72 standard hours. After that, we will no longer be courteous. The message ended. The Council erupted once again, but this time fear mingled with outrage. Several representatives demanded immediate retaliation. Others called for negotiation. The High Speaker trembled as he reviewed intelligence reports that had been marked classified. Reports of entire fleets missing, of outposts found abandoned with no signs of struggle, of sensors detecting impossible gravitational distortions around human-controlled space. One report stood out. A fleet of 60 ships sent to blockade Mars had encountered a single human vessel. Designation Vigilant. Only fragments of the transmission survived. The first fragment showed the human ship powering up. The second fragment showed nothing but static and debris fields stretching for thousands of kilometers. The final line of the transcript was a terrified whisper from a surviving escape pod. They didn't shoot. They just erased us. For years, the Council had underestimated human technology. They assumed the Terrans' advancements in artificial intelligence, energy manipulation, and defense systems were primitive compared to galactic standards. But humans had evolved in conflict. Every step of their progress had been forged under pressure, their science driven by necessity, their creativity born from survival. While other species pursued comfort and complacency, humanity had learned to thrive on adversity. Now the consequences of that underestimation were becoming clear. Across the galaxy, human fleets began to move. They did not issue ultimatums or engage in open war. They simply acted. A Council armory world in Sector 9 lost contact. Surveillance satellites captured a burst of light and then darkness. When scout drones arrived days later, they found a crater where a planet had been. No radiation, no debris, no trace of life. Just empty space. On the rimward border, a mining conglomerate that had enslaved human workers suddenly reported a complete systems failure. When communications were restored, the entire workforce had vanished, replaced by a simple message carved into the surface of the planet's main refinery. Courtesy revoked. The galaxy began to panic. Refugee ships fled in every direction. Trade routes collapsed. The Council's authority disintegrated as species turned on one another in fear. No one knew who would be next. Meanwhile, on Earth, the humans watched the chaos unfold in silence. The planet had changed since its isolation. It was no longer the fractured, uncertain civilization it once was. Governments had unified under one banner. The orbital defense grid shimmered like a metallic halo around the planet. The Terran fleet, once dismantled by treaty, had been rebuilt in secret, more powerful than anything the galaxy had seen. In a command chamber deep beneath the surface, Admiral Rowan stood before a vast holographic map showing the galaxy. Red markers indicated hostile territories, blue for allies and white for neutral systems. The red zones were disappearing one by one. Status of the Council fleets, Rowan asked. Scattered, replied the operations officer. They're retreating to the core systems. Several member races have declared neutrality. Others are begging for peace talks. Rowan's expression remained unreadable. And the timer? 52 hours remaining. The Admiral nodded. Maintain position. We do not act unless provoked. That was humanity's new doctrine. For every act of aggression, a measured and devastating response. Never first to strike, always last to retreat. The galaxy had called them savages once. Now it called them gods of vengeance. In the Council chamber, desperation grew. The High Speaker called for an emergency summit with what remained of the Assembly. The surviving representatives gathered, some appearing only through distorted holograms. Every one of them understood the truth now. Humanity could not be defeated. They could only be respected or feared. Ambassador Hale's image appeared again. The representatives begged for dialogue, for understanding. Hale listened, his face impassive. You misunderstood us, he said. We never wanted domination. We wanted coexistence. But when you declared war, you taught us what your version of coexistence meant. We learned your language of strength, and now we speak it fluently. The speaker tried to interject, but Hale's gaze silenced him. Humanity will not destroy you if you stop attacking us, he continued. But if you persist, we will end this conflict so completely that future generations will speak of it as legend. You have 72 hours, and you have already spent 20. The transmission ended again, leaving the chamber filled with a suffocating quiet. While the Council debated, humanity prepared. Fleets positioned themselves across the galaxy. Orbital platforms powered up. The Terran Artificial Command Network calculated every possible outcome of retaliation and victory. They did not intend to exterminate the galaxy, only to teach it a lesson it would never forget. But there were factions within the Council who refused to yield. Pride and fear made them reckless. The Drakari Confederation, known for its warlike culture, launched an unauthorized strike on the human colony of Epsilon Theta. They believed a swift attack would demonstrate strength and force humanity back to negotiation. The attack lasted 4 minutes. The Drakari fleet approached, weapons primed. Confident in their numbers, the human colony's defense grid activated once, emitting a silent wave of blue light. Every enemy vessel disintegrated in orbit. Not exploded, disintegrated. The colony remained untouched. The only transmission from the human defenders was a single sentence broadcast on every channel. You were warned. The message spread faster than light itself, amplified by every terrified observer. Entire species began to surrender preemptively, offering reparations and apologies. The Council issued a formal cessation of hostilities, begging humanity for dialogue. Ambassador Hale returned to the chamber for the final time. He looked around at the gathered delegates, their postures bowed, their voices subdued. "We accept your surrender," he said.